Let me tell you something, guys. I didn't know about this new trend of robberies that's happening when this happened to me. But there's something going on in Houston that they call jugging. And it's whenever thieves follow shoppers home and then rob them. Or they find them in weak spots or low security risk situations, maybe at home. Whenever you let your guard down, they rob you. They take all your stuff that you've shopped for and your money, your billfold, your phones, everything. Well, I have a friend, and he's a detective at Houston City Cop. Good dude, awesome guy. So I go over to his house and we sit and visit for 2, 3, 4 hours. I think it was like late at night when I got home. We hadn't seen each other in years, but he had told me that about my truck. He's like, man, you get down there around that city in that truck. He said, you are a marked man. He said, you are a marked man. He said, when you go into the city, you make sure you have a full tank of gas. Your head is on a swivel. If you stop at a store for anything, he says you better be ready at a moment's notice to be robbed. That's been about last year, about this time. That he told me this. I've always kept that in my mind. So I like to fill up when I'm going to Houston. I like to fill up in Huntsville, which, depending on where I'm going in Houston, I can go and come back on full tank of gas, no problem. Whatever speed I want to drive, which I should be slowing down some. I'm jacked up over the speed on it. So I don't know if y'all remember, during the summer I took a trip to the Fiesta Mart in spring. I thought it was the big Fiesta, and I really wanted to go because I like going there because they've got a huge selection of pots and pans and cooked stuff, and it's big stuff. You know, it's like you cook for an army with this stuff, and I really like that kind of stuff. Anyway, so every 6 months or so, I like to go down there because their prices are better than they are in the small town. I can go there and I can spend as much as I do in one trip at Fiesta as I do in the small town where I live, and I'll spend like 50% less or more. I mean, it's just unreal. The last time I got like 3 months worth of groceries and didn't spend half of what I usually spend at the grocery store or even Walmart, because they cater to lower income families, and that's just the facts. They're in a lower income neighborhood and the prices are cheaper. So when I get out of the grocery store, I walk out to my truck with my basket. This is heaped up with bags that you know, I took the time while I was in the store to tie the bags up because I knew I was going to be outside, and I would be vulnerable. I'm a man. I'm just as vulnerable as a woman when you got your back turned. if you're not watching, you are just as vulnerable. You can be knocked in the head, just like any woman can be, and taken advantage of in that way. You can be robbed, whatever. So I walk out to the truck. I get to the truck and I'm parked in a spot to where, you know, I can't be blocked or anything like that. I know this. So I start unloading my bags and putting them in the front seat of the truck, and I got them stacked. It looks like I got a whole lot because I got a box in the front seat of my truck. You know, I got this big box in the front seat. And I got my stuff in there, and I get in the truck, I lock my door, and I took and cranked my truck. I got my air conditioning running. I got my doors locked. I'm talking about, we're in a metropolis here. I'm not used to that. So I pulled the truck around. I like to people watch. And I pulled up to the front, kind of to the front door like I was waiting on somebody, and off to the side. I just wanted out of that parking place. My truck's marked up. You can tell I'm a company man. And I'm sitting there checking my phone for messages and this and that. And I look up in my rearview mirror and I see a gold Cadillac. Parked back there. I didn't think much about it, but I did mark it with my memory. I said, gold Cadillac, huh? There was two people sitting in it. That's what really caught my attention. There was two people sitting in it. So it's like, okay, well, I'm done checking my messages. I get my GPS coordinates right to where I can come on home and I won't get lost. I drop my truck into gear and start easing out of the parking lot. And I look up in my mirror and that car's coming about 30 seconds behind me. I'm like, oh, heck. So it's like, well, that's kind of odd. So the next aisle I came to, I turned down it. Started toward the back of the parking lot. It didn't turn behind me. So whenever I got to the end of the parking lot, I just made a big loop around the parking lot and come back out the other side. There was two different ways in the parking lot. One was out the street side, one was off the side street side. I went to the side street. And whenever I got out on the street, I noticed gold Cadillac behind me. That's ironic. No, really, that's kind of odd, Chris. So the first thing I did, my piece rides right here. So I just reached down and got me a good grip on it. It's like it's the gear shifter. And that's basically where it's riding at. It's in the gear shifter spot. So where I grew up, where a stick shift was at anyway. So it's like 1, 2, 3 red lights to Aldine. I think it's Aldine. And no, it's Airline. I get the airline, it's like, which way do I need to go? I look at my GPS and say, okay, all right, I know where I'm at, okay. So you got to make a kind of a dip and a dive like this. And I missed the little exit part that goes, it just cuts off like 15, 20 feet. And it's got an exit, a yield sign there. Instead, I went straight like I was going to the overpass. And I am messing with my windshield. And all of a sudden, I realized, oh, I got to go back this way, 45. So I hit the X. I hit the green light. So I turned. And I immediately, I know I got to get up on the freeway. So I immediately went to the left lane. I get just to the, I'm real super strict on myself about checking my mirrors. I drove a truck for years, and had you couldn't see out this window here, so I'm always checking these mirrors. Well, once I got a mirror up here, that's just part of my swing. And I start on it, and I check it for everything. It don't matter if I'm moving left or right, I check both ways. So I'm headed up on the exit. I look out that mirror there, and I glance at that mirror, and I see this mirror. Old Cadillac right behind me, about 50 yards. I said, this ain't right. This ain't right. That car should be in front of me by now. And it's like, okay, we're getting on 45. So I kick up my speed. And I enter 45 running about 80. And, as I'm watching, it's like, okay, I'm fixing to travel 75 miles on 45. I need to get far over left lane and need to settle in. And sure enough, I did. And I got settled in, and I looked up. No gold Cadillac. I'm running 80, 85 miles an hour. I glanced at that mirror right there. Gold Cadillac, 50 yards off my bumper. And I told myself, I said, man, I'm being followed. I'm being followed. I am being followed. And I told myself, I said, just relax. It's no big deal. I said, it is a big deal. These some bitches is following me. You ain't gonna stop. Not for 75 miles anyway. And then you're gonna come to a rolling stop. So it's like, all right. So I start paying attention. And it's like, man, these guys are starting to get a little close to me. So I decided at that point, I said, I'm fixing to make a change. I said, I'm going to 59. It's a short shot through there in Conroe. I'm almost in Conroe now. I said, I'm going to make a short shot through there. So, I'm listening to my gut at this time. I'm like, man, I don't know what they think they're going to get. They're going to get a bunch of tools. They're going to get a truck. They're going to get you groceries. They ain't going to get no cash because, hell, you ain't got no money. They might get your debit card. They can get you. So, I'm like, man, how far are these guys going to follow me? I said, this truck will do about, I don't know how fast it'll run. I've never run it that hard and that fast. I said, I still got about 60 miles before I get home. I ain't thought about getting home. I'm thinking I'm going to get robbed before I can get off the freeway. So I slipped over, I put my blinker on, I slipped over in the far right lane. Just like I was going to exit. I took my pistol out of its holder. And I raised it up, just like this right here. And pulled the hammer back. And then let it down like this. And I had it in my hand. And this car was right behind me. At this point, it was right behind me. It was within 35 yards of me, 50 yards of me. It had not moved very far off of me at all. It was always the same distance. That's what was freaking me out. It was always the same distance. And so just as I got to the exit, I looked in my mirror, this mirror over here, and I seen that it was wide open. And I said, I'm not taking the exit. And I just pulled the wheel and went through the white lines. You know how it's got the triangular shaped lines. I went through those lines and missed the divider by probably 15, 20 feet. Got back out on the freeway. I never had slowed down. I was still running freeway speeds, so it was just like I just pulled the wheel and I was there. And at that point right there, that car knowed that I knew. They stayed on the exit. They stayed on the exit. They didn't try to follow me any further. They knew that I knew that they were following me. They were tailing me. Now, how much further was it going to go? Was I fixing to get robbed? Was my truck? Yeah, probably. The first time I stopped. They was probably expecting me to make another stop somewhere. And then they was going to rob me. They had probably already marked the truck in the parking lot, seeing the commercial truck in that parking lot of that store, grocery store, first. And then they probably went in and seen me coming out of the grocery store. They had me marked right then. I was their mark. And they were going to get me. They were fixing to rob me. I didn't really put a whole lot into it. I never thought about it too much. Until I started seeing these news reports on in the Houston news. I couldn't tell much about the people. I couldn't tell what they were. I couldn't tell if they were man, woman, child. I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell nothing about them. But I did know that I did not want to be around them. That they were up to no good.
guys, you be safe out there. Keep your head on a swivel, and make sure you come home. Have a happy holidays and a Merry Christmas.